Hi everyone.
Hi.
I know this video is 3 months late, but I've been looking back at 2022, and for me the magic highlight of this year is of course the Arena Championship in September, where I made the top 8 and walked off with $10,000 prize. And I figured I still wanted to do a walkthrough of my DMU United draft at that event. So here it is, better late than never.
Sure. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment.
To give you some context, the Arena Championship, at the Arena Championship, 32 players have been playing for $200,000 prizes and 2 invites for the World Championship. And it was kicked off with the DMU United draft, and then there were constructed rounds. So the amount of pressure was immense. That was by far the highest stakes draft I ever played in my life, and perhaps the highest I will ever have played. And I wish I could say I was always cool, always made the right play and the right pick, but that was just not the case. I know for sure that it was not always optimal, but I believe I still ended up with one of the best decks at the table, and I did manage to get the most out of this draft. So I did go 3-0. But I did have some people who I have great respect for as players tell me that my deck wasn't actually that great, that I just got lucky in my matches.
I'm not one of those people, by the way.
Also, the coverage was a bit skeptical of my deck before they saw it in action. I'm curious what you think. So if you have some comments, you want to discuss any of the picks or the deck itself, just drop comments here and we'll discuss. So let's get to it. So this is my draft table. You can see there's, for example, Sam Rolfe, who ended up winning the whole tournament. And there is Shota Yasuoka, who is a legend, and he also made a top 4 that weekend. Jason, who's one of the best limited players out there, and of course all the others at that tournament, they're all only best of the best. If you want to check out some of the other drafts, the official coverage, they covered the drafts of Jason and Zachary from the same table. This was my first booster. I'm first picking a Johnny here, who is of course not the most exciting mythic rare, but still I think the best card in this pack. I am aiming for the main deck where it's possible, so I'm valuing green cards on average a bit more the first few picks. So there can be made a case to first pick the Wine Wall, for example. But in that case, I might be giving off a false signal with this Johnny to my left. Whereas if I pick the rare here and pass the wall, it's not a big signal. Since a rare is missing, it could be anything.
True. Yes, definitely. I would have picked a Johnny as well. And probably, well, it's very unlikely, but if nobody else decides to draft domain, then the wall might will, but who knows. Anyway, I think a Johnny was the right pick.
So pick 2, Tatio stands out for me right away. There are not many rares which I would have picked over it, so we see a rare here missing. The person passing to me was Sam. His draft was not in the coverage, so I don't know for sure what he took, but he did post his deck on Twitter, and he drafted blue-red, and I think the only rare he had was Temple Firestorm, so I'm assuming that was the card that was taken from this pack. For me, here there's no contest. Of course, I would also love this Lightning Strike, but not over one of the best cards in the set, which can win the game by itself.
Yes, I agree, and it's the most logical pick after a Johnny.
Pick 3 is an opportunity for me to grab a land. There were no lands in the first 2 packs, so now I see a mediocre pack with 2 lands, and I'm taking the green one. This will help me with my mana sources and to keep also my main color, which I'm assuming to be green. They count for the green mana sources in lands high.
Yeah, I agree. The land is the best pick. Probably Scout the Wilderness could be also an option, but I guess if you opt for the main, the lands are really a priority. Yeah.
Yeah, so far so good. Where I start to stumble was this fourth pick, where I see a booster with no real cards. I really want to take fourth pick. So of course, Yevamaya Sojourner might be the pick for the domain strategy, but I'm not thrilled to pick this card fourth pick. I end up taking this 2-drop, both in a domain deck if I end up with white as my base color, or if I get pushed out of the domain deck and I go for an aggro deck, then this is actually decent to drop if you can pay the kicker later in the game.
And why not the bite down? Why you choose for you decided to pick the second drop, just in case you end up in Selesnya colors, or right?
Well,
Still bite down.
Yeah, I already have a
Is also
Ajani.
good.
Bite down is an interactive spell, but not every domain deck can enable bite down, so you actually need creatures. A case could be made for bite down.
Yeah, probably I wouldn't have thought to pick Vanilla Sleeper, but yeah, like the most obvious pick, I guess, is Zar Ojanin. Yeah, right. This legendary creature.
The 5-drop.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it gives options at least. Yeah, to pick the second drop spell. True.
So pick 5, I gain see a land and decide to stick to the domain strategy. The white-blue land lines up nicely with the cards I already have, with the Titiova and with the Ajani. A domain is a synergy deck, and I have a rule of thumb when I'm drafting synergies that first come the greatest payoffs first, then the enablers, and the rest of the payoffs are below the enablers in the pick order. So in that case, cards like ES Might or the Prodigy fall into that third category, so I don't take them over lands.
Yes, I agree. I would have picked the land as well.
So pick 6, I can pick the wall, or I can pick another land.
A lot of nice cards to choose from.
Yeah, so I opt for the land, which may be incorrect since the wall is essentially also land, being also a valuable chump blocker and enabler for the chaplain if I pick up a chaplain later in the draft. Also, I don't have any red cards yet, but if I do pick up a lightning strike or the 4/4, the Melirus Outrider, I expect to be playing this card, so
that's the best.
I expect
payoff.
to need the red source.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, it's a tough decision, honestly, right? Probably I would have picked the wall, since I don't have any red spells yet, so it's like, it's more logical, you know? But I agree, well, you picked this land, and basically you just forced the domain deck by picking that land, right?
Well, that's kind of what I'm picking from the beginning. This draft I almost didn't pivot at all, although it was an option for me to go for a different deck. But since I saw all the cards that I needed eventually, I just stuck to it. Ironically, Carpathian Forest is much worse than the Wooded Ridgeline, not giving you the much needed basic land types. I take the Academy Wall here. I would be happy to play it if the blue ends up my main color as a roadblock plus flood mitigation. And also, again, I might open the Wing Mantle Chaplain, so it's has some value to pick up a couple of defenders in the pack 1.
Yeah, I think what you said is correct. Yeah, probably I would have picked the wall as well. Meteorite is also an option here, or the spider just for sideboard, but the wall, I guess, was the most impactful.
So here again, another filler 2-drop, which I take over other cards which are not exciting for me. And later in the pack, I'm picking some black cards. So there might be better picks here for the main, but I'm still not sure at this point that the deck will come together. So I'm mitigating my risks a bit, though the Rhythm Necromus is a decent card.
Yeah, it is.
Itself.
But you see here, probably the Pixie Illusionist was a better choice. It just goes really well with the idea of the deck. And Necromass, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a large creature.
Yeah, it's a finisher. I agree. I would have picked the Pixie. Because you want to play blue for sure, at least for Tatiova. And Pixie could also help you with the main.
Yeah, I saw actually a lot of Pixies this draft, and ended up playing some of these Pixies. But for now, I'm more inclining towards white than blue. So here again, I could have taken Gizmite, but I take another black card, which I think is a better card.
But here, after you've picked the Necromass, yeah, it has more sense to pick the black card. True.
Yeah, so end of pack 1, I'm not really thrilled by what I have. I did pick up 3 lands, but otherwise my pile doesn't look really impressive. But I do have option here to pivot into an aggro deck in absent colors, something like green-white splash and black, or white-black splash and green.
Yeah, white card is better.
So pack 2, I open another one of the better payoffs for a multicolor deck. That's Draft, so I take it over the less impressive monocolored cards like Phyrexian Spinach or Shadow Prophecy.
Yeah, like overall the pack is not very impressive. It's not very strong. Raf is definitely the strongest card.
I take the strongest card, exactly. So here, as you can see, I'm considering taking Joda's Codex, but decide in the end for a less greedy approach, and I take the Essence Scatter. At the moment, I'm really short on interaction, and the 2-mana counter is one of the better interactive cards in the set. The red-white land here is not necessarily what I look for at this point.
Yes. I don't know, it's tough.
It is, yes. Do I take the
Essence
payoff?
Scatter, you don't have many blue cards, and you still pick like a card that you need to play like in a blue deck, obviously.
Yeah, you need
It's
to
a
be
second
able
drop.
to play it on turn 2. And third pick, Leyline Binding, is an unexpected surprise, but a welcome one. There is also Meliora Outrider here in this pack.
And Destroy Evil.
Destroy Evil, and also another land. This all gives me a bit more confidence that I might get a domain deck after all. But here I'm very happy to take the premium interactive spell in Ley Line
I
Binding.
agree. Like, even if you cast it for 3 mana, Ley Line Binding is just, it's the best removal probably in the set.
Yes, and it can get pretty ridiculous at 1 mana.
Yeah. Yeah, as we saw on the Arena Championship when you played it.
Pick 4 blue-green land gives me hope that I will be able to play the Tatyova and the Ajani. I'm also seeing some black cards here, but at this point I'm committed to domains, so that's why the double-costed removal spell is not what I'm considering here. Vohar, of course, is great, but I cannot pass this land.
Yeah, and also there is a wall.
Again, a Floriferous Vine Wall. Again, I take a land over the Vine Wall.
But you need lands like really bad here.
This is a land. I mean, I would not take, for example, a green white land over the Vine Wall, but the green-blue one,
blue, yeah,
I especially need here.
True.
So I'm happy to take this one here.
Yes.
Yes, so
You pick the land. And
again a red land without any red spells.
Why not Rotwala? It's a good second drop.
Yeah, perhaps I should have taken Rotwala here in hindsight. But I do have some of the white 2 drops, and I also want to get the desired land count, which is 6 to 7, preferably before pack 3. So pack 3 I can take good cards. I saw already Melira's Outrider, and I might see another one. We'll see if there is another domain drafter at this table also. So I take the second red source because I know I will need this red sources. But again, Rotwala would be really great in my deck.
Yeah, it was a disciplined decision, I would say, because Rotwala proved to be one of the best second drops in the format, right?
Correct. But also the 2 drops in a domain deck, for mostly their purpose are to trade off. And I don't want to trade off the Rotwala. That's as great as it is. Sometimes you have to trade it off, and then there's no difference whether it's Rotwala or another bear.
Yeah, true.
So here,
and now I guess you
here's
pick the
where
wall.
I finally picked the wall. Exactly. So the white screen queen creature doesn't fit my plan, and the other 2 drops are less valuable, of course, than the Flurry's Vine Wall here. Not big fan of the frog, the Urk's Pan of Turk. Here I take Metirat here, which seems weird. But at this point I'm kind of desperate for interaction. 5 mana, 2 damage is a lot, but I will play it if I must. Fixing my mana is just secondary here. I just want something to interact with the opponent's board. And I only have this lone Ley Line Binding at the moment and nothing else.
Yes, well, I guess the second drop is an option here, but I don't think that you need the third Root Weaver, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here there is a white-green land, but curiously that's not what I want here. Simply because at this point I'm very confident that green and white will be my main colors. So I want primarily lands that touch green or white plus one of the other colors. I'm happy to take this efficient creature. It also has reach. I foresee many problems with flyers with this kind of deck, especially if there is no interaction. So something like as simple as the 3/3 flyer can be a really huge issue.
It's a very decent creature. It proved to be in a format,
Of course, green-white land is also valuable. It frees up a slot for other lands and so on. but the 4/4.
Yeah, and also like looking at your curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that was missing.
Thinking about the second academy wall, but I end up taking the pixie. Why would I want to play a blue 1-drop here? So for me, pixie is a 5 mana 3/3 flyer that can the doubles has mana fixing. And if I have a stranded card in my hand, I can use a pixie once to cast it. I don't really plan to play it for 1 mana in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, 4 or 5 mana 3/3 is okay.
So nothing here. And I won't play any of these cards either. Runa's double back also is out of question. And I think I pick up a second meteorite somewhere later in the pack. And very important, pick 13. This
sideboard spider.
This sideboard 1/3 spider. If you watch my match 3 against Shotia Soka, you will see how important this spider was as a sideboard card. So it was a very important 13th pick for my deck.
You probably could have played main deck, but yeah, you have enough second drops.
Right. So when we look at this pile after the second pack, it looks kind of okayish now as a green-white base domain deck. I did my work picking up lands, so I'm confident I can play almost any bomb that I open. However, I'm still really thin on interactive spells. I only have this lane 9 binding, I have the counter spell, and the embarrassing meteorite. The Minar United is not the most ball-beam format, but even here there are must-kill cards. Remember, I saw 2 Jada Codexes earlier this pack, and none of them came back. So I know there's at least one other domain drafter at my pot, which ended up being Jason, my first opponent. So what if they also have Tatiova? Do I just lose when I play it? So I have to be able to deal with some of those cards.
Right.
So that's my main pain point now. But luckily I had just a blast of a third pack in this draft. So first things first, I open Nimata. Perfect. And I happily take it. Yeah. This will help me against opposing flyers, so being a ridiculous powerful card, of course. Urbok Repossession and Tribute to Urbok are the cards here that I want, but not over Nimata.
Nimata is a bomb, obviously.
A second pick, Lightning Strike. Thanks to the 2 red-green lands I already have, I'm confident I will be able to play it.
Why didn't you choose how does it call it, this giant,
the pump spell?
No, the giant 4/4
the
4/4 mana. How?
Because of the double blue. Blue will not be my base color, so I will be splashing some blue cards like Tatiova. I'm playing Essence Scatter, but I will not be able to cast it on turn 2. I will not have many blue sources in my deck, so the giant, of course, is a powerful card, but it's not one I can play.
Yeah, well, Lightning Strike makes more sense.
Yeah, it's exactly what the kind of interaction I need.
Yes.
Even if it's not turn 2, I can play it a 2-drop and a Lightning Strike turn 4, for example. It's cheap and it deals with most of the threats, Tatiova or anything else.
It's a perfect removal because not only you can kill creatures, but also deal damage to a player as well.
Yes. So pick 3, I'm happy to see the Star Asunder. Together with the Lightning Strike I just picked, it covers all my bases, so now I'm really happy with my removal. I'm happy I took the lands already, so I don't have to think of taking these Haunted Mire because I already picked up some lands.
And actually, the pack is very strong, like in previous as well. So yeah, pack 3 is very good.
Yeah, it's kind of did the trick for my deck, the third pack. So here I see a second Terra Sunder, but this one I'm less inclined to pick because at this point I'm less desperate for removal, for interaction, and actually I'm now opting for the land, the blue-red land that will let me cast my Lightning Strike and my blue spells again. I have a lot of blue cards.
Yeah, you need fixing.
For not my main color.
Yeah, again, I think it's a very disciplined decision because personally, I probably would have picked Terra Sunder.
I really want the Terra Sunder. Don't get me wrong. But I feel I really need the land more than Terra Sunder. Okay, so pack 4, pick 4. There are some decent cards here, but here I'm actually taking the Temporary Lockdown for my sideboard. It is a kind of very specialized, very narrow card that can be very powerful against certain type of decks that my deck can struggle against. Like red-white aggro or something. So I could have picked here something like the 2/3 Drake, but it's not an exciting pick. The wall, the 2/4 wall, is also a really great card.
Those are for my deck. The most obvious choices, but yeah, Temporary Lockdown is a good sideboard card for the deck.
But I figured if I end up facing a really fast aggro deck with a lot of early drops, this kind of card can let me have an edge against them in games 2-3, as opposed to mediocre cards that I put in my main deck. So here, pick 6 Shadow Prophecy is a gift here. Will be very good in my deck, and will help me outgrind the second domain player at the table. So
probably Impulse would have also been an option because you're more in blue than in black, I suppose.
In this case, not really. I mean, it's equal. I will not play more blue sources and black sources, and the Impulse is just a card selection, whereas Shadow Prophecy you get 2 cards and you fill your graveyard, so is actually a much more powerful card. Here once again I'm taking a sideboard card. Weatherlight Complete, it shines in longer games, so I plan to bring it in against the other domain player. And
yeah, which totally paid off, right?
Yeah, so I did board it against Jason, and yeah, they said they actually didn't expect me to board it in, but it actually helped me survive the second game. I think was it second game? The second game
or the third?
No,
was
the second game.
Second.
A very late Destroy Evil. They add to my interaction package. That's a perfect pick here for me.
Yeah, I've picked it so fast, but there were some picks.
Yeah, let's go back.
I guess, right? This 3/2 creature. I don't remember the name. Sorry.
The copy creature.
Yeah, I think it's a very good one for the domain deck.
True.
It's basically a finisher. But you just picked Destroy Evil so fast. I agree, it's one of the best removals in Dominaria. You just you didn't even think about it, right?
all those 3/2 copy creatures, they ended up in Shota Yasola's deck, and he has been doing some ridiculous stuff with them. He had a very strong aggro deck. with those guys who let team kind of go over the top. I could have picked this one. Honestly, I just was so glad to see Destroy Evil here, that I think I didn't really consider this other card.
Yeah, okay. I'll Destroy Evil, yeah, as I've said. One of the best removals.
So a wheel from my booster, pick 9, Urborg Repossession. I came back from my pack. Very happy to see it, of course.
It's like
this is another grindy card that will help me win
very
longer
nice.
games. Of course, black-green land is decent, but I can make the mana work already with what I have.
Well, Urborg Repossession is a card that sometimes I picked as my first pick, Pick one.
You
pick
can
one,
first pick it, yeah. It's a very strong card.
Yeah.
So I think that gives us definitely the information that there's only one domain player. One other domain player, I mean. Here I pick another filler to drop. Rulik Mons, which is...
Yeah, why not?
I put it in my deck. It cost me nothing because I already have enough red sources and green is my main color. And it's just good quality creature, nothing special. 3/3 manas.
Yeah, obviously it's better in red-green aggro deck, but I mean, why not?
And here I take Pixie Dungeons, which I end up also putting in my deck as well. Right, so this is the final deck. It's not by any means perfect. For example, I only have 7 green and 6 white sources from lands, which is far less than my comfort zone. My comfort zone is 8. That means that I will have to mulligans a bit more. I'm unlikely to keep a hand without white or green. I did end up playing Meteorite, one Meteorite, for which I was understandably made fun of. Just some of my reasoning. It's an additional piece of interaction, which also helps me late game to get the double green, for example, for Tatiova, or double white for the Raft's ability, which will be really tricky with the amount of planes I have. So yeah, of course, in this discussion, people always bring up the win rate statistics from 17 lands. Myself, I love 17 lands just as the next limited player. What you see on 17 lands are averages. And there's a saying I like, that if you base on averages, then your results will also be average. For example, in this deck, we talked already about the 2-drops. I am happy to play this Juniper Order fellows as just the 2-mana bears. In this deck, the purpose of my 2-drop is to trade off, and in this case, the quality of my 2-drops doesn't really matter as long as it can block. Whereas, so the 17 land stats for this card are bad, but I don't care.
Yeah, you just need to survive the long game.
Right. And if I had an assertive white aggro deck, I would be much more conservative towards my early creatures. And the same logic applies to Meteorite. I think in this deck, it was an important role player, although generally it's at most a mediocre card. But if you look at my matches, Meteorite did do some work in my games. You want to see the games? I will post a link to the official coverage in the video description. The first 3 feature rounds actually are my games. And it was not me bullying people, but actually struggling to survive, going down to 1 life after losing game 1.
Yeah, there were some epic games.
Maybe not the second match, but the first match against Jason and the third against Shota were really epic. If you have a remark about the matches, about my plays, drop them in comments. I know at least 2 moments where I misplayed and I did play sloppily, especially in the first match. But
That's understandable. I mean,
I'm long past punishing myself for mistakes. 15 years ago, I used to think that good players don't make mistakes, but nowadays you can go to a stream of any Magic Pro and you will see them make mistakes in real time. So
that's normal. Everybody's human, and especially when you're under so much pressure, when you're playing for such high stakes. I mean, and when basically the whole Magic world sees you, it's tough.
Yeah, so it's really not a big deal as long as you recognize your mistakes and work with them. But do point them out if you like. I will be grateful. Maybe I'll see something new that I didn't see before. What else? If you look at the decks from our table, I think, for example, Shota's deck might be better than mine, if only because it's much more consistent 2-color deck. And usually myself, I'm always on the conservative side, so I love my limited deck to be 2 colors. Dominaria United is, however, one of those formats that rewards you extra for being greedy.
Seems familiar with Kaldheim, right? Like,
right. So
we were talking about it.
I like this format very much, and I had some success with it, not just this draft, but also the Arena Open. And it reminded me of the first Ravnica block, or more recently Kaldheim, yes. So I'm actually looking forward to playing Kaldheim Limited in the next Arena Open as well. So all these formats rewarded greed in draft. So being greedy, especially greedy here, I think that's what made it possible for me to go 3-0. Whereas with a more consistent 2-color deck, you could be winning more in the long run. But to spike like this, you need the raw power. And I have the best cards in my deck, I think, that from the card quality. So, yeah, any other remarks?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything. I personally think that the domain archetype is the most powerful in Dominaria United. So, I think you did the right choice, like, personally.
So let me know, what would you have drafted in my seat? What picks you would have made differently, maybe. And I hope you liked this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Regarding draft or gameplay, you can drop a comment or tag me on Twitter. And yeah, see you.
Bye.